Hi, welcome to the Glow Interviews. My name is Katie Oman and I am a psychic, author, motivational speaker and coach. The Glow Interviews is a place where we can meet some really amazing and inspiring people who are a light in the darkness. I know that through talking with them, we'll all be left feeling empowered and hopeful of a brighter tomorrow. All of the contact details for both myself and my guests are in the contact box below. So if you'd like to reach out for anything, then please feel free to do so. Today's guest is Addison Bell. She's an expansion coach, expert author, and tantric practitioner. She has a master's in counseling. She's an orgasmic meditation trained expert, ordained minister, and a body image expert. When I discovered her work, I was blown away, and I just knew I had to have her on my show. I think this is going to be a very powerful conversation, and I'm so looking forward to having this opportunity. So thank you so much for Addison being here. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie. I am so excited. I love sharing my work. I love connecting with like-minded individuals and also just getting my message out there. And so thank you for having me.
Oh, bless you. Of course. How could I not, right? It's so different from every other interview I've done. I was excited.
Yes.
Bless you. So look, we have to start, right, with the same question I ask everybody, the elephant in the room, that is 2020. It's been the craziest year, certainly in my memory. So how have you been coping with it all? And have you found any blessings in this chaos at all?
In truth, I have had an amazing year. I have to be honest. Like, I talk to people, my clients come, I have friends, and they go, oh, 2020, it's awful, it's a struggle, it's hard. And I'm like, I'm actually not having that experience at all. Like, yes, there have been some things that have just made me kind of grow in a different way or kind of look at the world. And yes, my 2020 didn't look like it started out with the goals I intended. However, actually, I have had an amazing year. I've found new ways to connect with my clients.
Wow.
And personally, like, I've traveled actually more this year, probably than I've traveled in the last few years. But
I'm so jealous.
Explore the US more. And in truth, I've just done a ton of personal work and really grown as a person. So I'm actually loving 2020, and I'm loving that we are forced to kind of look at some of the pieces that we are missing in our lives, as far as like, oh, well, we have to connect with those just in our household or our friends, those closest to us, and finding the little beauty and blessings in our everyday life. And so I actually have loved 2020.
Cool. So
that's a popular opinion.
Well, no, exactly. A lot of people have not felt that way, I'm sure. But has that come from, do you think, your own mindset? Have you been able to kind of shift the way you look at it, do you think?
Yeah, I think I've been able to shift the way I was looking at it. And in truth, like, I am that person who, you know, if I have a goal, I'm going to find a way to make it happen. And it is that belief and that, how I'm looking at the world. I'm like, I could look at this blessing as an opportunity to do all these other things, or I can drown myself in media and all the negative energies going on. So I really try to kind of stay away from a lot of the intense negative messages that I've seen for last year. There's a difference between staying informed and staying informed versus drowning yourself in, you know, news and Facebook and other social media platforms.
I've noticed that. So like, I have like a breaking news app on my phone, so I can kind of stay in contact. But if I find myself kind of mindlessly scrolling, I can feel my mood just down. Either it's fear or it's anger, and I'm like, I need to get back off there because it's not helping me at all, right? Yeah. It's like a real mindful thing. It's like you have to be so aware of what's going on within you, don't you? You have to see like where you're at. and not even day by day, but like moment by moment. You're like, how am I doing right now? It's like a check-in all the time, isn't it?
Check in. And I think it's actually been a eye-opener for many, because they're able to see that they're doing just like what you described. Or I've done it too, where I'm like, watching too much news and I'm going, I'm just not feeling good. My vibration is low. I'm not feeling good. So I think more and more people are seeing that. So it's
definitely. So in your bio, I've described the work that you do, and it's very kind of different, I suppose, to what a lot of people might be used to. Certainly it's not your everyday kind of work, I suppose. So what led you into the work that you do now, for those that don't know?
Yeah, so I absolutely love the work I do. I have such a passion for it, and I didn't think I would ever do this type of work. I never, ever in my wildest dreams years ago would have said, I'm going to be a sex coach or a tantric practitioner. That was not on my agenda at all. I was
when you were at school and you had the careers advisor, no?
No, never. So I started out actually as a therapist working in eating disorders. That's where my heart was. I had a raging eating disorder for like 15 years, and I got help and I worked my way through it while actually going through grad school towards the beginning of grad school. And I did so much personal work, and then I went on to become a therapist for addictions and eating disorders and depression and anxiety, mainly focused on eating disorders. And then I realized I needed to do some of my own work on relationships. I wanted to work on my relationships. So I found a fellow, now colleague, best friend, person in my life. But at the time, she was a stranger, and I reached out to her, and I was loving the work. I found that, first of all, the word Tantra does not mean what everybody thinks it means.
Yes.
It's not this big, scary word, and it's not all about our sexuality. No. It's really about weaving our life together and incorporating all aspects of ourselves and loving all aspects of ourselves, and realizing that one aspect of our life will impact the other aspects of our life. And so instead of shaming our sex and our intimacy and our connections, to really step out. And so I saw her doing this work, and I also saw that I was working with clients in eating disorders that were so hungry in other ways too. Yes. That all my eating disorder clients also had issues in the bedroom or with themselves, and who they were as a woman or a man, because they were both. And so I started on this journey, and I fell in love, and I quit doing traditional therapy and became and studied energy work and brought my body image stuff into my current practice, and then really started working with the Tantra elements and there's the energy, and I never looked back, and I loved it. Wow. I made it my own. I really made it my own. I'm not a typical tantric practitioner either, in truth. If you look at me with some other your typical tantric practitioner, I'm actually quite shy, and I'm not what you typically think of. So
no, but what comes across, I think, is your real passion for what you do. I don't think you can't hide that at all. You can tell that you talk about it and you light up like a Christmas tree, right? It's just like you can tell that it's like your purpose and your drive, and just it's not like I do it and it's like some days it's like I know you can tell like this is who I am and this is what I do. So
now there are days I'm like I'm tired, but generally 90% of the time I'm ready. I love my clients. I love seeing them when they start to step into their intimacy with self, really. That internal stuff, and then also connecting with others in the world and really looking at their energies and clearing them out, and really just finding that embodiment. It's amazing how their lives blossom so beautifully. I had one client that I will never forget. He came to me and he was having this energy blocks, and so we did some meditation and we did some energy work, and we just did some straight up coaching, and like me kicking his butt and giving him journal prompts and things like that. Loving him the whole time as I'm kicking his butt.
Of course.
And I can tell you, he learned to work with his energy so well that he became magnetic at work. And he's like, I never thought this work that I was doing on my sexuality would impact my work. Like, my bosses are telling me, you know, you're being so dynamic in the boardroom. Like, what is going on? What are you doing? So I just love it.
It feels like you're kind of the extension of the stuff that I do, because I wrote a book about self-love, and for me that was the foundation of finding my happiness, was learning how to love myself, and kind of allowing and understanding that that has a massive effect on every area of your life, you know, from your relationships, because of course people are your mirror, and, you know, going for your dreams and putting up with crappy behavior from other people. And, you know, so I feel like you are kind of, you take it a step further because you bring in other stuff that perhaps I didn't touch upon. But I do feel that in essence, we're kind of doing the same thing, really. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it all comes back to self-love. At the end, like, there's nothing that you can grow. You can't grow in your world if you are hating on yourself. Like, you'll never be happy.
No,
you'll never
absolutely
ever
not.
be happy.
No, and you can try. I mean, you know, you can try and put outside things, external things, and try and fill that void. But ultimately, it just doesn't work, because, you know, you've all been there, right?
Yeah, we've all been there. We've tried to wear the makeup and do the things, or, you know, this morning I even wrote something on, like, you have to look at your faith within self, and you have to connect with yourself, because you can do all the things. And I tell my clients this all the time, you can do all the things, but if you're not trusting in self, if you don't love self, you're not going to move forward with it. It's not
exactly. It's like wearing like a $1 million coat, but feeling like, you know, you're not worthy, and you hate yourself, and you think you're disgusting. You may as well be wearing a coat that's like worth pennies, because it makes no odds. It's how you feel within yourself affects your outside world.
It really does. It really does.
Absolutely. I love that. So, I mean, obviously, those who are watching it have probably noticed a very slight accent difference between me and Addison. I am British, and Addison is very clearly not. She's American.
I wish I was, though. That would be cool.
Yeah, well, you know, both of our countries have their good bits and their bad bits, right? But I don't know in your country whether it's the same as it is here, but being British, I'm very aware of a lot of people have issues around sex and intimacy. I think it's still a lot of taboo, and it's shameful, and people don't like talking about it. And so there's like people that have issues or embarrassment, but because they can't talk about it, it feels very isolating. So from your experience, that probably, like I say, I would think Americans in general, of course, there are always exceptions, but most Americans, I feel, don't have what we have. But from your experience, why do you feel that some people have such inbuilt issues around stuff that is like one of the most natural things that you can do?
So I think it starts out like from a very young age. I think we're constantly borrowing our parents and their parents and their parents' stuff. And so we have this baggage of years and years, because you're right, you know, people come to me and they can't even sit across from me and talk about what's going on. That is really significantly having an impact in their life. They really struggle. We have to work through that shame barrier first. Even in the consultation, people will use, like, sometimes they will use words that are very, you know, childlike, because they've not done the growth work. Yeah. And that is because we're told that it's shameful and it's wrong, and there's religion comes into it. And I'm not anti-religion at all, but I do believe that there are some religions that really put a massive shame on our sexuality, and we've seen it as something that is not spiritual. I work with a lot of other spiritual practitioners that do not deal with sex, and they think that is too low of an energy. You shouldn't need that. You're weak if you need to look into that. And I think from just the average American, I just think that we are over sexualized in one way, where it's like, no, you have to be sexy, you have to look sexy, but at the same time, we don't want to talk about it. It's too intimate. And that's really where I think it comes down to. when we truly dive deep into our sex, we are faced with ourselves. We're faced with our intimacy and our vulnerability and looking at our core, because what happens in the bedroom is a mirror to what is happening within us.
Definitely. And I totally agree with you. It's funny because I hadn't written this down, but listening to you speak, my brain's going like a little ping pong table. And it's like, spiritual people seem to have not all, a lot of them have a lot of issue around sex. And every time that I have tried to share a post about, being sexual or sensual or women's bodies or, anything to do with stuff like that, you feel like there are a lot of, you can just feel, being an empath, I feel the energy. And I'm aware that a lot of people just kind of go, yeah. It's kind of like, as a spiritual person, I'm not supposed to go there because that's lower, like you're saying, that's human stuff. It's not spiritual stuff. And I'm like, but it's all spiritual. So how can I dissociate the two, right?
Yeah. And I believe that when we are most connected to our sex, our kundalini energy, or like all of our energy, which our sexual energy is a life force energy, it's a passionate energy for life. When we're disconnected from that, what ends up happening is we dim down and we are more disconnected from whatever spiritual belief system we have. Yeah. I believe like when we are at our best, we are at our most embodied selves. That is when we can connect with the divine of our understanding the best.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And it's funny, isn't it? Because how do you think then that women and men get past the labels that are slapped on us? So for women, it's like the mother or the whore, right? And for men, it's like the player and the stud. How did we get past these like cultural, societal labeling crap that we all put on each other?
So I think I could give you a whole bunch of like apple, but at the end of the day, it's a choice. I do believe it's a choice. It's a seeing your whole self as important.
Yeah.
It is recognizing and seeing what you want for your life. And if you want to be disconnected from your body for the rest of your life, then you can make that choice. That is free will. But I think it comes down to a choice of stepping into the uncomfortable, and sex is comfortable. Talking about sex, looking, and even people who say, oh no, I'm really comfortable with sex. I get lots of people like, oh, I'll talk to you all day about sex, and they'll throw all this sexual stuff at me. But when I ask them to actually connect to the feeling, or I really dig deeper into their sex, what ends up happening is I find out that they're really not embodied in their sex. They're really not connecting.
No, it's like it's logically, they can get it up here, but they can't push it into that shell of their body, right?
Yeah, and I think it's hard to believe something we haven't experienced. So like I co-teach this beautiful workshop called Female O Camp twice a year with my mentor, now colleague. And people don't believe that there's such thing as energetic orgasm, or that you can have orgasmic living. They've never experienced it, so they don't believe it. And so it is really comes down to answer your question, an opening of our minds. It's a willingness to go, I might not get it, I might not believe it just yet, but I'm at least gonna open my mind and give it a try. And see, I'm hearing that all these people are saying that this is possible, and I'm gonna have a little bit of faith to give it a try.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if it doesn't work for you, or you're not connected to it, you've not lost anything by giving it a try, have you? You might actually be one of the best things you ever do, but you won't know unless you open yourself up to it, right?
Yeah, I was so closed down when I first met. I mean, I think like you asked like, well, how did you get here? And I said, oh yeah, I never thought I would be here. The fact is, when I first started my journey, I was so incredibly shut down. My friend, she laughs at me. She's like, when you met me for the consult, you had like a turtleneck up to here. There was nothing sensual about you. There was nothing sexual about you. Like, you were so disconnected. But I was hungry for change. And I think that's where it comes from. It's hunger for change. It's I want something different.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And normally you find it's that need, that kind of understanding that there's something missing, that you're not doing something that you need to do, that's a bigger calling for you. It's that feeling within you that normally pushes you to change your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not really going to. If you're kind of in the comfort zone and you're kind of happy and it's kind of okay, there's nothing really pushing you forward, is there? I mean, you can do it, but having that hunger for change is normally the catalyst, isn't it? So,
and actually, in truth, I think a lot of people don't make a lot of changes in their life because they've not stepped into their desire. And in order to step into your desire, you have to awaken this piece in you. Yeah. You truly have to, because I can tell you, you know, yes, I get comfortable, but because I have connected to my sexuality, I've connected to that chakra point and all my other energies too. It's not just about the sex. It's not just about, you know, our sacral chakra, but to really step into all my energy, I'm always hungry. I am always hungry. I am like, no, I want that, and I want to try that, and stepping into that beautiful desire without stepping into scarcity.
Yeah. Yeah. But finding the blessings, I think it's complete mind. It's really to do with what's going on inside your brain, isn't it? Your mindset of how you approach things.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So in that essence, you know, I know it's probably quite a hard question to kind of narrow it down to certain points, but how would you encourage people to start to be aware of their pleasure and to bring more pleasure into their lives? Because I think that's a really good starting point.
Yeah. So I think my first recommendation would be to slow down. To slow down. When we are moving, it's hard to tune into ourselves and notice what's there. And so, I mean, slowing down in what you're eating, slowing down and, you know, taking a moment in the morning. If you go for a walk, I know I walk in them every single morning, and just breathing in the air and notice those little pleasures. We don't have to start with what we usually consider pleasures. Sometimes my cup of coffee in the morning,
ooh, yeah.
like, I'm like, this is orgasmic. This is pleasure right here. Like, I am having a moment with my coffee, just enjoying it, tasting it. You know, if you get a hug from a friend or your partner, to just breathe into that moment.
To be real present with it and mindful of it, and to say, you know, to allow the moment to be what it is, rather than going, oh, I need to go and do this in the shop and go, I'm going to go pick up the kids. And you're missing it, aren't you?
Yes, you're missing it. And you're missing, that's where pleasure starts. You're never going to notice pleasure in other areas of your life if you can't notice these tiny little pleasures that are present all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It can be the smallest thing, you know. People talk about self-care, and a lot of people go, oh, you know, it's massages and bubble baths. And it's like, well, it's that, but it's not just that. Self-care goes so much deeper than that. And sometimes it's having a very honest conversation with yourself and cutting out the crap from your life, you know, to say, actually, what am I doing that's not bringing me pleasure? Because once you know that, then I think you can connect more to what does bring you pleasure, right?
I think in truth, it really is self-love to sometimes be hard on self and be like, I'm not accepting this stuff. I'm not accepting this ego from myself anymore. Not that you get rid of your ego, but you know, but I'm not going to accept X, Y, Z in my life anymore. I'm no longer available for this in my life. I'm no longer going to let myself be available for this. So sometimes it is that butt kick. So I agree with you on that.
Definitely. I think it's really, really important. So what do you wish you'd known when you started your journey that you know now? The breath.
It sounds so cliche, but I think I would have said to self, like, don't work so hard at it. Don't work so hard in the little details. Really just go with your passion. Go. I told you before this interview, I'm a Virgo, so I can get really nitty gritty. I can get very analytical, but to just follow your passion, your purpose, what you feel called towards. Because like I said, like, this is my practice and you have your practice, but no one else's practice is going to be the Same. And so to really follow your gut instincts. So that would be my best recommendation.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, when I tell the story that when I was at university, one of my lecturers said to me, there's no such thing as an original idea. And we all kind of went, oh. And he went, I don't tell you that to depress you, because what is original is you and your voice and the way you do it. If 10 of you write a book on the same subject, we're going to have 10 different books because you approach it from your own perspective. He said, so all you have to do is do you. And I was like, that's one of them that's like stuck with me. And that was like, what, years ago, but it's still one of those things that I always remember, just do it your way.
Mm-hmm. Because you know what? That's going to speak to the people that it needs to speak to.
Mm.
So, and when you're going to feel the best at that point. And when we feel the best, we are magnetic.
Yeah.
And we can't help but call in and manifest the things that we truly desire.
Definitely. Because if you're low vibing and if you're in fear and if you're got that lack mindset, it's really hard to bring the good stuff in. It's not impossible, but you're making your journey so much harder than it
you are
needs to
like
be.
trudging against the flow.
Yeah, I say it's like pushing water up a hill with a spoon. Like you can get there, but it's going to take you a long time, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be knackered. So what's been your hardest lesson on your journey so far, and what did it teach you?
Hardest lesson, I think it is the just do you. I think that has been my hardest, and also to protect my own energy because I'm very empathic, because in truth I've had to come to a place in my own practice personally and also in my business where I say no to people. I'll be like, sorry, I don't want to take you on as a client. I know you need me. I know you want, but you know, my energy can't hold you right now. You know, I need to go self-care. I need to go take care of me. I need to do me. And then I think there's a lot of voice that when I first got started, there was a lot of voices around me going, oh, you need to do it this way or this way or this way or this way. And this is the right way. And so really the me being me and the lesson of the fact that even now I sit here and I go, I am me, but tomorrow I'm going to be another me. And so finding out who that me of tomorrow is.
I love that. I love that because there was a quote I saw and it says, if you knew me 6 months ago, you don't know me now. Let me introduce myself. It's like we change it all the time, aren't we? So
we're constantly changing. So yeah.
Definitely. I love that kind of energy protection thing because I've been a chronic people pleaser, like really bad. I was like, so didn't want people to dislike me that I would shapeshift and, you know, real chameleon-esque. And I think what you're saying about like saying I can't take you on as a client right now is so different from what we're taught because we get fearful about money. And so to say, actually, I understand that, you know, the profit and the money and obviously your overheads are important, but that doesn't mean that you have to take that from everybody because not everybody is right for you to work with. And not everybody, you're not right for everybody either, are you? So it's like a real, you know.
And in truth, if I take on a client that I don't really feel aligned to, what ends up happening is I crash my energy and then I crash the energy of the people for the people that I'm supposed to be working with and supposed to be really holding space for, and I'm not able to do that at the same capacity.
Absolutely. So, you know, if you're out there and you're kind of, whatever business you're in, you have to understand that you're not meant to work with everybody, and that's okay. You know, you don't have to feel bad about that, right? It's like, make sure that you're looking after yourself as well.
Yes, yes.
Definitely, definitely. So if you could travel in a DeLorean and go back to your childhood at any age, what would you say to your younger self?
Oh, I would tell probably my younger, like 10-year-old self, let's say 10. Because 10 is always an interesting age because you're not like a baby anymore. You're not a kid. But, you know, you're not an adult, you're not a teenager. So I probably would tell my 10-year-old self to really like love myself because like I said, so my eating disorder started at 10 and went on into my early 20s. And so I would have probably gone in and you know, told myself that I love myself and to, you know, to really find the beauty in who I was at that point. because I was a nerdy bookworm, big glasses, don't look anything like I look now. Kind of, but I was
cute though, right?
Huh?
That's cute too though, that works. You can do nerdy chic.
I was not cute. I was like, Mom, what did you dress me in? What did you dress me?
Very different time. Fashion is not what it used to, you know what I mean? We've changed a lot, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I would speak self-love. I would speak self-love.
Definitely. Actually, I really think it's something that should be taught in schools. I think we're so taught how to pass exams and, you know, all these qualifications, but actually the things we need for life as an adult out into the big world is never touched upon. And I think if we learn how to meditate, how to connect to ourselves, how to love ourselves and respect ourselves, if these things were taught more, I really think it would have such a positive impact on children as they became adults. And I think you would see huge shifts in society. I really do.
Yes. And I would say even, I would add, interacting with others, and also allowing, you know, what's my business, your business, and God's business, to kind of steal some of Byron Katie there for a second. But like, really, like, what's my business? What can I control? What can I control? Really looking at, you know, I think we have a lot of blame and like, I hear my clients all the time talk about, but my mother, my father, when I was 10, told me that, you know, they taught me to care about everybody so much that I gave myself away. Well, that's an interaction issue. That's a communication issue.
Yeah.
So to learn to really communicate and yet stand in yourself.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I love that. So what's next for you on your journey? What plans do you have moving forward? And don't tell me you ain't got any, because I don't believe it.
Lots of plans. I'm amidst the book. I'm slowly writing because it's coming to me. I have big travel plans. I want to travel to some beautiful places, keep growing my online courses, because I love doing online courses, because I get to touch people that I don't get to touch in my individual client groups. So and in my workshops, because I have all this beautiful information. So I love doing my online workshops. So I'm looking forward to continuing to expand those and grow those, as well as just, you know, of course, expanding my current coaching practice in my in-person clients. I have online clients, but my in-person clients and my workshops, because right now with everything going on in 2020, I have noticed people hungry for like true connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things like this, like Zoom, obviously we're in different countries and it's wonderful that we get to use this and talk to each other, but we really miss this in-person connection, because there's nothing like it really. That energy connection when you're in the same room with someone and your energy is bouncing off each other.
Energy.
Magical things happen in that space. They really do. So we'll get back to it, I'm sure, at some point. So who or what inspires you to be your best self every day?
So I could list, so I talk all the time about my giants. I stand on the shoulders of my giants, and that's all my teachers, my mentors, the people in my life that have really, really stood by me. But at the end of the day, I think even above them, the person I see for myself in the future, that is what inspires me. That person, because it can't be anybody else. Yeah. I spent years trying to do that. It doesn't work. I gave that up.
Nope, that worked.
I think the vision of myself, my higher self, the person that I know I can be, that is my inspiration. And then, of course, I have, again, my giants around me, or I can look back to and go, wow, that person really touched me and inspired me in a way that now I can be who I am.
I love that. As I read once, and it said that there are two people who you should seek to impress. One is your 8-year-old self, and one is your 80-year-old self. And I love that, because nobody else really matters. Really, at the end of the day, you have to make your younger self proud, but you also have to make your older self look back and go, wow, what a life.
I lived, and I lived well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love, definitely. So last question, my darling. These interviews, I called them the glow interviews because I wanted to bring some light to the darkness. So in that vein, what lights you up and brings you joy?
I love seeing people expand and grow, and not even just my coaching clients. I absolutely love watching my friends and my colleagues and my family grow and expand and try new things. And so I think the growth expansion energy is what lights me up. I love that within myself and with others. So that really makes me, I don't know, glow and expand and just like light up. So
there's no other feeling like it. As somebody who coaches, they say watching somebody come in with their energies really low and they're really not in a good place, and by the time they finish working with you, and they could go and climb Everest if they wanted to, they're like bouncing out the room, and you're like, I helped that, make that happen. It's just the nicest feeling. It really is.
Yes, it is. And of course, because I am a sex coach, some good orgasmic energy in my life always makes me glow. I didn't throw that out there.
You had to, and I to be fair, I am with you on that one, so absolutely. Addison, it's been I knew it would be. I knew when I found you and I connected with you, I knew this was going to be a good conversation, and it really has been. It's been insightful, inspirational, empowering, and quite moving. So honestly, from my heart, thank you ever so much for taking this time. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it as well.
Go and check her out. I'll leave all her links down here, so wait till the end of the video. Don't click now, but go and check her out. Her website will be there, and she has so many amazing things on there. I was there today, and I was like, oh my God, oh wow. Honestly, it's brilliant. So go and have a look, and I'm sure you'll find something on there that will definitely light you up. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I hope this has helped you. I hope this has lit you up, and I shall see you guys on the next one. Lots of love. Bye, everybody. Bye.